Hi everyone, Huiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are looking into the past, just a couple of days to the 29th of June. This was the last full moon. We do, of course, have another full moon coming up at the end of July, but this was the last full moon, the most recent full moon that we had. As you can see, we're seeing it here at 99.8% full, and just about 404,000 kilometers away from us. Now, I think this number is going down here, so let's see if we can move back in time and maybe get it a little closer. We're not seeing it at its absolute fullest, of course, but we are edging towards 405,000 kilometers. And a micromoon, the smallest full moon that we can see, is, by some definitions, the definition that I'm going to use, it's when the center of the full moon is over 405,000 kilometers away from us. And you might be saying, well, this is under 405,000 kilometers away. But this isn't measuring our distance to the center of the moon, I don't think. I believe this distance is measured to the surface of the moon rather than the center. If we add on the radius of the moon is about 1,700 kilometers. That comfortably brings us up to 405,000 kilometers. Now, if we keep pushing back, the moon will go under the horizon for us here in Ireland because, of course, the moon is just rising. But without putting the moon under our horizon, we'll go a tiny bit further. There we go. So without putting the moon under our horizon, when the moon rose at 99.8% full, it was 405,000 kilometers away from us and change. So the moon was over 405,000 kilometers away. It was a micromoon. That's the last micromoon that we're going to have in 2026. So we're going to get rid of the ground and the atmosphere here. We're still seeing our same distances, and we're going to start moving forward through to the next full moon that is still upcoming at the end of July. On our way, we're going to get the new moon, and you can see the new moon here is only 360,000 kilometers away from us. Yeah, just 360,000 kilometers. So that is a sign that the moon is getting closer to us when it's new. And here we go, forward to the next full moon, 99.9% from here in Ireland, so even better. And we're seeing it at 398,000. 10,000, almost 10,000 kilometers closer to us than the last full moon. And that trend is going to continue. So we'll go all the way through July into August, and we can see it's down to 389,000. We'll go through again to September, 375,000. To October, it's going to keep coming down at 365,000, roughly another 10,000 kilometers. That's nice and regular. Here we are through to November, and it's only 357,000 kilometers away from us. This counts as a super moon. By the definition that I am using, anytime the moon is closer to us than 360,000 kilometers, it is a super moon. Again, that's measured to the center of the moon. So we are under it here, but if we also took away the radius of the moon, that would bring us almost 2,000 kilometers further. The radius of the moon, again, about 1,700 kilometers. But we'll keep going all the way through to December because the trend continues. There we go, 351,000 kilometers away, 10,000 kilometers closer to us than the limit, 45,000 kilometers closer to us than the micromoon that we just saw in June. We're going to move forward because I did hear that the first full moon of 2027 would also be a micromoon, and there it is, 352,000 kilometers away. So just a teensy tiny bit further from us than the 351,000 kilometers that we're getting in December. So we just saw our micromoon. We will at the end of the year get our super moons. Now, bringing back the atmosphere and the ground, everything should still be fine. Everything should still be above the horizon. Of course, we have changed seasons, so the moon does look very high in the sky there. If we bring the moon back to just about when it's rising, I don't think we have the right kind of horizon for it. the moon still looks incredibly small here. And the moon is a lot smaller than it looks. When we see the moon in the sky, it appears much larger than it actually is. There's a bit of an optical illusion going on, and this is exaggerated when the moon is closer to the ground. However, I do think I have a way around this issue, which is to actually perform a measurement. And unfortunately, that's really what you need to do to tell the difference between a supermoon and a micromoon. The difference in apparent size is only about 12 to 14%, which is pretty small, and we're hopefully going to see just how small, assuming that I can be accurate enough to make this work. So Stellarium does provide an angle measure tool, which is going to tell me how many degrees of arc the moon is taking up. I'll try to be as level as I can and as close to being directly across the equator as I can. Something like this. So this is giving us 33 minutes of arc and change. 33 minutes of arc and change. We're now going to go back. This is our supermoon, the superest moon that we're going to get this year, and the superest moon of the next set of supermoons. As I mentioned, we're going to go through several supermoons, several things that count as supermoons. November is going to count as a supermoon. January is going to count as a supermoon in 2027. But the December supermoon is going to be the biggest supermoon, the closest of the supermoons, coming all the way back. Oh, of course, if we just go forward a little bit again, I apologize. Here's the new moon blocking out the sun on the 12th of August. Of course, we're going to have a partial solar eclipse from here in Ireland, a total solar eclipse from Iceland and Spain. So there is a solar eclipse coming up at the end of this year. There's the new moon almost in front of the sun, just as an eclipse should be. But we're going back even further, just back to last month. Oh, that looked amazing. So there's the moon in front of a nebula. I think the Veil Nebula, or I'm not entirely sure, but it is a nice surprise. That looks fantastic when we're looking at things with no atmosphere. There we go. I don't want to lose the moon as we move back to the 29th. There we go. There is our full moon. We'll zoom in a little bit closer so I can be as accurate as possible. We'll turn back on the atmosphere and the ground, and we'll move forward until the moon is above the horizon. Technically, this is a little unfair. The moon cycle is 29.5 days, and even that isn't perfectly accurate. 29.5 days, roughly. So here we go, the moon is far enough above the horizon that the atmosphere isn't distorting it into some sort of oblique shape. We're going to try and go as close to directly across the equator as we can, as level as we can, and there we go. 29 minutes and change of arc, a difference of almost 4 minutes of arc. And 4 minutes of arc isn't a lot. I almost certainly made mistakes. I mean, even here, I can see that I haven't fully gotten the full span of the moon. I haven't here either. You know, let's correct it. I will try to be just a little bit more accurate, even though it is, yeah, still 29.5 degrees. It is an exercise in futility. I will never be as accurate as true measurements, mechanical measurements, the kind of analysis that a computer can do, measuring where the brightness begins, where the contrast is. I'll never be as accurate as astronomical systems. But even here, just looking at it roughly, making mistakes, we've got a different size of moon. So the supermoon is coming up. The micromoon, the microest moon that we're going to get this year, has just passed by. So I hope that you got to see it, but of course the micromoon is smaller and a little fainter, a tiny bit fainter. It's very hard to tell how much fainter. It's hard to tell how much smaller, but it is past. From here, the moons are getting bigger, and we will get our biggest just at the end of the year in December. So that's the supermoon and the micromoon. I'm personally a little glad that newspapers have started talking about micromoons. Newspapers were making a big deal about supermoons for years, and I was a little apprehensive because the difference is only about 12%. Not many people would notice it, but people do seem to like the supermoon. The idea of a supermoon is a popular thing. People want to see it and want to know more about it. People, and by people I mean newspapers and websites, have started mentioning the upcoming micromoons and when the micromoon is occurring, And I think that's good to make sure that people know the supermoon and the micromoon are two different ways the moon can look. The moon can look bigger, and so of course it can also look smaller, and that provides an opportunity to explain the actual details. So I hope you enjoyed the quick comparison that we made here, and I hope you're looking forward to the supermoons coming up. If you enjoyed this video, then please do like it. If you like this kind of content, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you would like to read this information, you can do so on my website, queevinscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.